Hello and welcome to the Market Wrap right here on BloombergQuint Live. And it was a day on expected lines. One would have thought that ahead of the GST Council meet decision, but more importantly, ahead of the Jackson Hole event, not too many people would take very large positions because the global markets may be a bit, you can't quite figure out what the global markets would do today. And therefore, you would want to be on the safer side. And I think that's what's happened today. Quickly tell you, I mean, essentially, real estate did very well because of those specific measures. And to an extent, pharma and autos did well. But that's the Nifty 50 picture, flattish. IndusInd Bank was important simply because the UBS house turned their stance on IndusInd. Remember, for the longest time, this analyst, Vishal Goel, if I'm not wrong, his name, has been negative on IndusInd. And I think him changing that stance probably led to the 5th or the 6th day of gains for IndusInd Bank, but very good gains today. There's strength in Mahindra and Mahindra, Tata Motors. So autos, as I said, did reasonably well for themselves. Pharma did very well. So Sun Pharma is one name out there, but some of the others like Cipla, etc., too, did reasonably okay. And while Reliance gave a bit of a pullback, maybe not quite out of there. I think telecom is having a bit of a lull, but probably once this AGR verdict is out, you might actually see Reliance, Bharti, etc., have a different move. They could well correct. I'm just laying that for now they're looking very, very soft. Quickly to the broader end of the spectrum and how the market breadth did today and what happened to specific names. Remember, a lot of individual names did very well. This is the market breadth and almost even Stevens or maybe marginally in favor of the declines, you would have to say. But look at that. There's a bit of a change in that. The number of losers today as well was high, and the stocks which lost out quite a bit. So let's talk about the losers first, which is to the left-hand side of your screen. And HAL or Hindustan Aeronautics on that specific news corrected a bit. La Opala had some corrections. Some of the auto anchors, the likes of Endurance, etc., came down. Affle India sees some negative reaction today. And Bharat Dynamics, amongst others, also came off. Well, selectively, defense didn't have the best of days. But what about the gainers? Gujarat Alkalis, 10%. Future Retail, they've given an announcement that the board meeting for raising funds on Saturday. So people would probably put two and two together. And real estate, as I said, without an exception. DLF, Prestige, Oberoi Realty, Suntech, Godrej Properties, whether Mumbai-based or otherwise, all of them did really, really well. And Piramal Enterprises on that back also went up in the session. So good moves by and large. Let's get in Nickey, who will tell us about her views and the specific pockets which stood out in trade. And Nickey, I wouldn't be surprised if real estate, pharma, and defense kind of feature in that list.
Yeah, you got it right. I'm going to be starting off with real estate. You have names like DLF and Godrej Properties, obviously, which made it to the list today. Of course, Maharashtra government has cut the stamp duty on apartments to 2% from 5%, and this continues till December 2020. So clearly beneficiary to this, all the real estate stocks. But then Jeffries highlighted that both Oberoi as well as Godrej Property, which have 50%. Oberoi has 100% exposure in Maharashtra, while Godrej Property to an extent of 50%. Both are going to be the direct beneficiaries. Of course, a residential uptake on account of cut, which has come from, on account of the stamp duty, which if passed on by the developers, will definitely augur well, even for the names like DLF, Soba, and Prestige. Other one that I have in my list is Godrej, Godfrey Phillips, where we saw significant amount of traction coming in. Government panel actually recommended a regulated FDI in tobacco. Presently, there is, it's prohibition. There is a prohibition of FDI in cigars, cigarettes, and tobacco. So that's one bit of a positive development coming in for Godfrey Phillips. I'd like to pick up and talk a little bit about Jindal Stainless, because that stock has been downgraded today to hold from buy. Apparently, they're going to come up with a QIP for equity issue. And that is these equity issue warrants are issued at a discount of closing price to nearly 16%. And though QIP in its way does instill some amount of confidence, but it remains to be seen. It's majorly because of to fund their working capital requirements, and also there is a significant discount that they have offered, which in turn, to an extent, caps the upside. Today in trade, you just saw a correction of nearly 2.5 to 3% in trade today, but there could be going forward. I would not be surprised if we see further correction in this counter. And Hindustan Aeronautics, of course, a big cut coming in there. Government to divest nearly 15% stake now, and the floor price which has been set was at around 1,001 per share, which is a discount of 15%. Believe a 13-14% kind of cut today only in trade. So clearly you know, apart from Hindustan Aeronautics, it's also the other defensive names like Bharat Dynamics has also took a hit. Sometime back, these stocks rallied quite a bit on the you know, the import ban 101 defense list, but at this point of time, they seem to be losing their traction. Niraj, comment on this one. What do you think about this space as a whole?
It's interesting, Nickey, that you bring this up, and pretty interesting stock spotting as well. I don't know what your thoughts are, but frankly, with the government looking to outline the map for giving out orders worth 4 lakh crores over the next 6 to 7 years, this seems to be real this time around, quite unlike the previous few times. And therefore, it'll be interesting to see if, while there is a bit of a correction today because of the HAL divestment issue, but maybe that could get bought into as well this time around. Just that these defense names might just have a completely different outlook compared to what they've had in the past. But yeah, interesting moves into some of those. I don't know how you think about them, but that and Nickey, more importantly, anything else that we are watching out for today on the event side? I know there's Jackson Hole, which is a really big one, but anything else too?
Sure. In terms of results, tomorrow we have Apex Frozen Foods. Apart from that, Karim and SG VN, which are going to be reporting their numbers. Of course, they're not going to be big enough for small companies as a whole. But Apex Frozen Foods, of course, would be interesting one. This week doesn't have much of the economic data coming in, Niraj. What will be interesting is August 31st date, where you will have quarterly GDP number, 8 core industries data, which will set the tone for the near term, along with fiscal deficit data, of course, that will set the near term direction for the market at least.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. And let's see if tomorrow morning we have some reactions from the GST Council meet, because that'll be the other really interesting bit. Let's see if something does happen. But Nickey, thanks. And viewers, from Nickey and myself and the team that put this piece together, thanks so much for tuning in.